This is a podcast from the Queen City Podcast Network.
Welcome to Nerd School.
Nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
Yeah.
Suck it, nerd!
Nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
Suck it, nerd!
Nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
Suck it, nerd!
Welcome to Nerd School.
Hey, stupid Andy, are you ready to do this Doctor Strange thing?
Yeah, you dumb asshole.
What's wrong with you two? God bless it.
Well, we don't cuss at anybody else, so it's fun to cuss a lot at each other.
Save it.
Yeah.
You save it for each other. Is that
Yeah.
your brotherly bond?
Mhm.
Fucking
That's how they show each other they love each other.
Is
So I'm
it?
eating,
headed bastard.
Yeah.
I'm eating soup, so can I get as much slurping as here as possible? Let me try
Yeah,
this.
you know, we could just do an ASMR podcast.
Where we all just eat. I was just snacking on my popcorn.
Slurping and farting.
Slurping
LARPing.
and farting and
Doing a little
farting
LARPing.
and slurping,
LARPing.
slurping and farting
We should
and
LARP.
LARP and slurping.
We should LARP. Well,
That-
we could live action role play at the Ren Fest. I'm just saying.
How long does that go till the end of the month?
I think so.
We're recording this on November 6th.
Let's see what
Yeah,
it's doing.
the LARP might require us to bring in an associate professor to teach us all.
Exactly the rules.
Yeah, the rules of LARPing.
I
Other
feel
than-
like between us, we will know somebody.
You
Literally.
can call up Brent Fundak.
I don't think
guy.
that.
Shout out to Brant
he-
Fundak.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't go for LARPing.
Yeah.
Uh,
He won't even dress up for Halloween.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
with
you
all
do.
the theater peeps, we know somebody. We'd be fine. We got it.
yeah, we'd figure it out. That's a whole different vibe of
Speaking of
Not
whole
me.
different vibes, Doctor Strange brings a whole different vibe to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, wouldn't you say?
There we go. Moving
Yeah.
to phase 3, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep,
Take
it
one.
kind of opens up the magic side of the Marvel universe, which to be honest is not really my favorite, but it's
You don't like magic? You like magic, Andy? You're not a magic fan?
So you don't like the magic side of the MCU, or you don't like the magic specifically through Doctor Strange in the MCU?
or just like, stories in the magical realms. I mean, they can be done well, and I mean, I don't hate them all, but it's just like I don't gravitate towards like I wouldn't be into Dr. Fate that much.
You don't like casting spells and magic wands and Harry Potter and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about Harry Potter. It's
Me neither.
yeah, I know.
Oh,
Fight,
that
fight,
hurt,
fight.
Andy.
Yeah,
You
it
need
makes
to
me
see Andy fight.
easy to not support J.K. Rowling though. So that's
No,
good.
we don't support her trash self, but the
Whoa.
fandom is the fandom. It's the fandom.
Yeah, you got to separate the art from the artist, right?
Not always, but
So Michael
that she
Jackson's
built-
all good.
No, not even close.
You
to
don't
all
think he's
good.
innocent?
No,
You think he raped those kids?
I think he had some inappropriate relationships.
That sucks. All right. November 4th, 2016. This was released. Doctor Strange was released in the US.
Yeah,
It's
a
pretty
horrible
cool that
day.
We're doing this now, right?
Yeah, we're almost exactly 6 years. 19, 16.
Yeah, we're past 6 years.
Joe
years.
is currently counting on his fingers. Figure out how long ago 2016 has been.
There's days I think it's still 2016.
You just add the 4 to get to 20, and then the 2 more.
Yeah, but what
Here's-
year is this though? That's the key. You have to know what year it currently is.
I'm gonna need you
But
to do
after the
better.
year is almost over, you should already know what the year is.
Yeah, we're in
Just-
November. We literally have 2 months.
I really feel like, don't you kind of feel like ever since 2016, everything has been a dream?
Yeah,
Ever since
here's the- let me-
2020, everything's been a dream.
No, 2016. Let me explain. Like when I first saw this film, I had just voted again, like for Hillary Clinton against
Yeah.
Donald Trump,
See,
and
you
I had a
little
bad
Freudian
feeling
slip
about
there.
that day.
You didn't even vote for Hillary. You just voted against Trump, which is the problem. Most people just did that. And if we
No,
really
if
loved our
most
candidate,
people did that, it would have been fine. But most people didn't do
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Most people did not indeed do that.
it's a stolen election. Fake
Because they
election.
assumed, they automatically
like-
assumed that no one would vote for Trump. and that he
Yes.
would win.
Yeah, everybody
couldn't
thought he was a
possibly
joke.
win.
Well,
He
So
couldn't possibly
yeah.
win.
I voted and went, oh, we can't have that guy. But I had a bad feeling. So I said, all right, I need to stop. I need to try to not get an ulcer worrying about this.
yeah.
I went into
So
the
you just went
theater
ahead and didn't
across
vote.
the street from my apartment. No, I voted.
Oh,
And then I went into the theater and said, all right, I'm gonna go watch Doctor Strange, take my mind off this for a bit. And then when I left, we had all entered the dark dimension.
Ugh.
And
oh,
we
so
remained-
you saw it actually on election night?
yeah.
Oh man, so you went
Then
in
it definitely was a dark time for you. I
positive?
remember
Oh my gosh.
I went to bed early that night because I just didn't want to face reality. But when I
Yeah.
woke up in the next morning, I was like, are we in 1902? Like where
Yeah.
are we in the world?
No, we were at the big giant bloviating dark dimension Dormammu Ripley.
Right? If
raggedy
only Doctor Strange was
face.
rolling down the street
Yeah.
in DC.
Hopefully we don't have to trap ourselves in a time loop again to get rid of him.
I hope not.
I mean, we got election coming up, and if we go back, it's another fucking time loop, and we're just
Yep.
dying over and over and over.
Yeah.
So-
maybe we are in another dimension.
But
But that
we are in
said,
the upside down.
so this was
This
this movie was edited by Sabrina Pisco and Wyatt Smith.
Good job. Good job looking at the credits.
115 minutes of the runtime. Cinematography by Ben Davis, of course.
Did you actually watch the film?
Yeah, I did
Okay.
watch it, but I didn't watch it my typical. I like to watch it 3 times, and the third time take notes. I did
Mhm.
not do that. I did
Okay.
watch it one time. I mean, I watched it a while ago. This one I had already seen, and I watched it again recently. Didn't remember any of the stuff I saw.
Of course you
Only
didn't.
half paid attention because I was doing other stuff, and I just started watching a little bit of it more today, like an hour ago, and already had didn't remember this from the first time. But it helped me to rewatch it because now I understand the beginning. Now that I watched the whole thing and figured out who Caecilius is and all that, so we'll get into that. So, but what I told TBJ before you guys
Say his
jumped on,
name. Say his name.
Caecilius.
Say, they know his real name. What's his real name?
Oh,
Mads Mikkelsen.
Not you, Andy.
Mad,
Oh,
Mad,
I want-
Mad.
I wanted to see if
Madge-
Joe was going to butcher it because he's
Madge
been butchering it a lot.
Madge Michelson. But
Yeah.
here's the thing: is
Madge from Palmolive.
so I'm gonna do something different here. I'm gonna sort of. I didn't get a chance to give my notes through from beginning to end, or scene by scene. So I'm gonna kind of just play it in the background, and as we get to scenes, we'll talk it out. And when I have questions, I'll pop them up because I have a lot of questions. And a lot of it, I'm like, okay, what now? And some of it I caught by just like rewatching little scenes and bits, like trying to understand what the Ancient One's deal is. And because I remember watching this the first time and being like, okay, these parties are all mad at each other, and I don't really know why. Who's I supposed to be rooting for? Who's the good guy? Like, and do we really
'Cause-
know? And I think it's all subjective kind of anyway. And then
I don't know if it's subjective.
between the Ancient One, and she's supposedly evil, but she's good, you think at first, and then
She's not
The
necessarily
Dormammu
evil.
thing
She's
over and over.
drawing some energy from a source that's not good, but she herself hasn't done anything to make people think she was bad.
She's snaping it up a little bit. She's
Yeah.
self.
dark dimension and like
Slytherin.
she'll use dark dimension power, but she's not gonna.
I love how you
she's doing it
just
for good.
said you don't like Harry Potter, but you definitely just referenced a character in Harry Potter.
You
and-
cannot be a nerd for the last 20 years and not have absorbed some shit.
Yes, but
know what
you're
a
right.
muggle
She
is.
is snapling it up, but not in a way that is
Two
leaves
Snapes up in a
confusion.
circle.
Yeah.
But that's a shout out to Art. He was wanted me to do the living color throwback a while ago. But so yeah, the big reveal is Ancient One who forbids us and is fighting against the powers of the dark dimension is in fact tapping into those powers to preserve herself for the fight against them, which is weird, and that's what sets Baron Mordo off, or Mordo. There's no
Mordo.
mention of his baronship in here, but
So
in the
he's
comics,
not he's a baron in the comics,
yeah.
but a freak in the bed.
Lord
not
help
in the
us.
So and Mordo is very like she says it up at the beginning, Mordo's thinking is very rigid. So he's like,
Yeah.
oh wait, you are using the dark dimension to fight against it. That is a perversion of what we're for, and that is wrong. And the bill always comes due, which is like a big thing in magic recently, or like relatively recently, to sort of make it so it's not always just ta-da, I've changed everything and everything's great. It's all right.
The
Joe's
butterfly effect.
Yep, Joe's not even listening anymore. He just walked away. He's probably going to take a
I
dump or something.
know. How does he learn if he doesn't listen? Jeez.
Yep. He just decides to
Got
tune out the
you.
professor and
God
just walk
darn
away.
you.
Sorry, I had to open my
Right.
garage door because it was getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here.
Hotting.
Oh,
I knew
our
you were
son's
so
gonna
hot
take
in
off
here.
all his clothes.
No, no one is taking off their clothes.
Come on, TBJ, let Artstar get
Yeah.
nude.
Artstar can get nude if he has an OnlyFans account, and then he takes some of those proceeds and puts it into our podcast so we don't work. Other than that, no nudity.
So basically, you want me to pimp myself for the podcast?
Yes.
I want, yeah, all of you. Use what you got. Throw some
Oh,
feet
wow.
pics in.
Feet pics.
Do it all. I'm putting it on you guys.
Take out-
Reverse the role.
Take out some grannies.
All right.
Okay.
Take out
Yep.
some grannies.
This is directed by Scott Derrickson. What's that all about? Who's that guy?
He's the guy who directed Doctor Strange.
Were people pissed when Scott Derrickson's directing the next Marvel movie? Everybody's pissed. This is the 16th.
No, but I think
14th MCU movie.
I might be
There was
thinking
some
of.
controversy in his choices, but not in him.
Okay.
I
don't
will
think
say he
so.
made some intentional decisions not to cast certain characters to stereotype Asians.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the thing. Was
Yeah.
the Ancient One was people were kind of hoping finally, like in the comics, he's an old grizzled Asian man.
Yeah.
And I think Marvel kind of thought like, oh, we're gonna change this up and get some points for non-traditional casting and cast a woman in this role, forgetting that they also don't have any Asian representation really up to this point.
Yeah, so they make an
Yeah,
Asian, a white
well,
woman.
And he specifically said the way the characters were written, it would have come off as too much stereotypical. And he did think about going with an Asian woman as opposite, but then as they were writing it came off as like Mother Dragon. And so it was his attempt to be not racist by casting it, but it was still controversial. And so originally he wasn't going to have the librarian, what is his name? Wong. He wasn't going to have the Wong character really play a big role in this one, but he knew that Asian representation was important. And so he was trying to bring it in where he could without it feeling like big stereotypes.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's more than I knew. So good job.
I know that stuff. Listen, I can't tell you a sports ball team, but I can tell you
The
about some cultural
racist intentions of directors. This guy directed The Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Sinister, Delivers from Evil, and The Black Phone. I don't know any of those.
I don't watch scary
interesting.
movies. I
Black
do know
Phone
that.
is in there. That's what Kevin Bacon.
Say his name again.
Kevin Bacon.
This is interesting. I'm learning like the history of the Doctor Strange film project. Like they've been trying to make one since the 90s, but they've had issues and starts and stops. But apparently in 2007, just before the MCU started, Guillermo del Toro and Neil Gaiman pitched a version of the film to Marvel that would have seen Doctor Strange being an alcoholic and disbarred physician in the 20s and 30s, and he would have been living in Greenwich Village for 90 years without aging. And it would have had Clea in it, who is not in this film. But that's just interesting to sort of set Doctor Strange in the 20s and 30s as a grizzled old drunk, which would have been kind of neat.
And that doesn't happen in the comics at all.
No, he's. I'm sure there might be a story about that. But Neil Gaiman being one of the bigger names in comic book writing, there's a current series on Netflix, it's The Sandman, that's adapted on some of his really famous works from the 80s. That was one of the big things that helped.
For season 2.
Oh yeah, That's good. And it's taken this long to have that adapted at all because you needed to get this far into making comic book movies to adapt that stuff. But apparently Patrick Dempsey wanted to play Doctor Strange. Let's see. I'm trying to
Doesn't
see.
Patrick Dempsey want to do everything?
Why
I
wouldn't he?
don't know if he wants to do everything.
How would you have felt, TBJ, if Patrick Dempsey was Doctor Strange? Are you a McDreamy fan?
I am not a Grey's Anatomy fan, so it wouldn't occur to me in any way, shape, or form. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't care about Grey's Anatomy. I know the whole world cared about it at some point. Listen, I stand
me.
Shonda Rhimes. I watch Scandal faithfully, but I could not get into another medical drama after
I can
1,000
see
years
you
of
as
ER.
Olivia Pope.
Listen, Olivia Pope is my homie.
Is Shonda Rhimes related to Busta?
Not quite, not
Oh
quite.
man,
Damn it.
But they're both creative powerhouses in their own right.
I'm sure in the Joeverse they are.
They are probably in the
And then you
Joeverse.
try to,
They are.
they didn't have to
siblings.
sit down and reconcile the spelling of their last name. Like
Yeah.
Buster did it because he wanted to be like, well, if I make it say spell it with the H and the Y, I can buy into the whole hip hop thing. So yeah, I'm Busta Rhymes.
Well, there was
Yeah.
a football player named Buster Rhymes already before Busta Rhymes came around. He played for the Vikings in the 80s.
That is
played-
so random.
You know,
Yeah,
Played
that you
for
know
a
that.
couple other teams.
You know, a scrub is a guy who thinks he's fine, also known as a Busta.
Always talking about what he wants.
No, I don't want no scrub. Scrub is a guy that can't get no love from art.
Here's an interesting thing I learned about Doctor Strange when researching, the history and first appearances.
Yeah, lay it on us, brother.
All right, Doctor Strange and Wong both first appeared in July of 1963 in Strange Tales number 110. He was a Steve Ditko creation. That Steve Ditko created Doctor Strange and kind of brought it to Stan Lee, who then wrote the stories. So Stan Lee didn't technically create Doctor Strange, but he wrote like his first appearances. But it was sort of like Steve Ditko, who was an amazing artist who helped. He was co-creator of Spider-Man as well. Just his art was absolutely mind-bending and revolutionary, and it really created this whole that whole sequence where Stephen Strange is going through all these crazy dimensions and shit like that. That amazing thing that Ancient One puts him through.
Yeah,
that is Steve Ditko inspired. Just amazing, bent, weird, crazy visuals. Like the stuff you can do in comics is just whatever you can think of. Is you can get it to visualize on paper. It's just was all paying tribute to Steve Ditko's incredible imagination. But interestingly enough, Marvel, he was not the first Doctor Strange in Marvel history. The first Doctor Strange in Marvel history was a completely different character who was just in a book 2 months before this premiered as a villain in Tales of Suspense number 41, which is the third issue of Iron Man ever. So I briefly read some of the story, and it was Iron Man is still in this big clunky gold armor, and he's entertaining kids at a birthday party, and then suddenly this guy in prison named Doctor Strange creates a device that allows him to mind control Iron Man to break him out of prison, and then Iron Man beats him. So, and that's the only time this guy's ever seen, but his name was Doctor Strange.
Listen, in the land of multiverses, could have been the same guy.
Yeah. And there was a bit when there was, I read something like Stan Lee wrote a thing about, there was some kind of letter or something where he was talking about, we're coming up with this Doctor Strange guy. And I think we just introduced a Doctor Strange in one of our other books. Hopefully there won't be too much confusion. And they solved it by not using that guy ever.
Okay.
And incidentally, there is technically a Doctor Strange in DC Comics as well, but he's Dr. Hugo Strange, and he's a psychologist who psychoanalyzes basically figures out Batman's secret identity and then tries to be a better Batman than Bruce Wayne.
And he's like that
And also he makes
thin line
monsters.
between being a psycho and being very smart. Like
It is a thin line.
yeah, but he portrays it like he can be quite sadistic, but then also he's like I don't want to say a male version of Harley Quinn because he does a little more, but
he's more cerebral and less chaotic.
less as Andy would say, murdery.
Well, I don't know. He also had some weird monster experiments.
But Harley is really murdery. She loves her murder.
I love how we're debating on the murderiness of these
Murdery.
two villains. They're a little more murdery.
Yeah.
But was there any sort of like lawsuits between Marvel and DC over the name Doctor Strange?
I think they
ongoing?
fed on each other so much that I know there was a lawsuit around, I think, Superman and Captain Marvel, who was Shazam at the time. I know there was some business around that, but they bounced off each other so much that I think any lawsuits between the two of those companies would not bear fruit. And Doctor Strange's early appearance is apparently modeled after Vincent Price, which you can see if you look at the classic appearances. It's just Vincent Price in a cloak.
He
It's
looks
Doctor
like
Strange.
Strange. Price.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of it sounds so weird. I don't like his dumb beard that he like the pointy thing and the little mustache. Like I always hate
That's
those
what
pencil
you.
thin-
That's what you disliked.
But
So
it's
what
like
about on you
I don't
ever
know
watch
why.
Venture Brothers?
I didn't really watch Venture Brothers.
Oh, Dr. Orpheus.
Yeah.
Dr. Orpheus on the Venture Brothers is a fantastic parody of Doctor Strange.
Gruff from the
That's
Gruff and
it.
Loud show told me I need to watch Adventure Brothers.
Oh, you gotta watch Venture
It's just
Brothers.
Venture Brothers. It's not
I mean
Adventure
Venture,
Brothers.
sorry. Venture
Yeah,
Brothers.
I need
Not
to
Adventure
finish it.
Time.
I watched like the first 5 seasons or so, and I haven't like watched the end of it.
But you watched all of Love Boat, no problem.
I did watch all of Love Boat. Yes, I mean that's easy to fall asleep while watching Love Boat. Oh look, Buddy Hackett's doing a thing.
The love boat.
Well,
See,
Kelly
sometimes
Savalas
you
made a
need
robot
love boat
Isaac.
thing in your life. You know, makes you feel good.
Yes, the Love Boat was worth watching just to find out that Telly Savalas, as the mad scientist Dr. Fabian Kane, created a robot version of Isaac the bartender in order to steal a horse from a Swedish heiress who was played by Terry from Three's Company.
Somebody wrote
There you
that.
go.
And you
Somebody
know,
wrote
remember
that.
Terry
Somebody
from Three's
didn't
Company,
rewrite
you
it.
see.
And it was
her
a two-parter.
boobs
It was a two-parter.
in the Kevin Smith universe.
Wait, what are you
Yeah.
saying?
Terry from Three's Company. You see
What
her
are you
boobs in the Kevin Smith universe. What's that? The Ave
Priscilla Barnes is in Mallrats as like a weird 3-nippled psychic.
Yeah, and then she
God
takes
bless
off
her.
the fake nipple and it's like, ha, fooled those guys.
And I think she eats it too.
Yeah, I think she
What?
eats it. It's a weird it was Mallrats.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Mallrats.
Ugh.
Yeah.
There's a lot
But-
talk about
but,
some problematic movies.
Yeah. So technically the Ancient One predates Doctor Strange. He first technically appeared in Amazing Adventures #1 in 1961. But
This
that
is when it was a fella.
yeah, but it was only that he was unnamed in that issue, and then he appeared in Strange Tales #110 with Doctor Strange and Wong, and then eventually that was retconned to be an appearance from him.
I do kind of
And
like
then-
in this film how when they introduce the ancient, when they figure out who that is, he assumes misogynistically that it's
Yeah.
the guy. That
Right.
old
Yeah,
man
because
sitting
that's
there.
what y'all be doing.
Yeah, that's his what. Yeah, yes, be doing.
That's what y'all be
Nobody
doing.
said yes. But there, what's the me version of the us version of y'all? Y'all and
It's still
us?
y'all.
It's just us.
Use.
But if it's if I'm talking about if I'm
Weeze.
saying y'all versus
Wheeze. There you
us,
go.
We's doing it. Y'all's doing it. We's doing
done
it.
you mean
Wheeze went to the store. Mhm.
Wheeze?
Y'all went to the store.
Yeah.
Wheeze did.
Wheeze.
I think that's accurate.
Louise McCrory.
Yeah.
So Wheezy McCrory. Okay. Okay. That's
just-
interesting stuff, Andy. What more do you have on this?
Just a couple more first appearances of all the characters in this movie. Mordo, Baron Carl Mordo.
played by Chris Carter, NFL
Uh,
wide receiver Chris Carter.
No,
It looks like Chris Carter, kind of.
No.
You don't know
Mordo
Chris
was
Carter?
in the comics appeared the next issue, Strange Tales 111, and he's Transylvanian. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
So he
like
was a
that.
vampire.
He's a
Is that what
vampire.
he
you're
wasn't a
supposed to be?
van. He was trying
I
to.
mean, who is from Transylvania that isn't a vampire or a werewolf? I'm just saying. And
There's-
fictional history
There's got to be other
seem
people
to
that
be
Alucard.
some sort of something.
Yeah, so I did look up some of these as we were going in. They said their names, and each one you could see the comic figure. And they all look like these crazy wizard.
Yeah, it's it's
Kazoo.
it
Was
was
it the Great Kazoo, or who's the
Great
clown?
Gazoo from Bozo the
Wizzo.
Clown.
Is it?
No,
is
it's
the
Wizzo.
cl-
The Great Gazoo is the green guy that follows Fred Flintstone around.
I'm thinking the clown from
Oh, Gazoo!
Wizzo the Clown
Gazoo!
from the Bozo show. I
Wizzo
know
the
what you're
Clown from
thinking
the
of.
Bozo show.
Yeah,
I think that's why I hate those kind of mustaches. Like I have deep seated clown fear
yeah, I get it.
of people with a weird magician mustaches.
Now
I
we
think
know.
I'm gonna try to go a weird magician mustache.
Okay.
And
I don't
Just
trust
say creep.
magicians.
Expelliarmus. Expelliarmus. Oh,
Does that like make somebody barf or
Mm.
poop?
But I like
Expelliarmus.
the casting of this. This guy's a lot, makes him seem, I don't know,
say his
One of-
name.
more of a friend.
Say
Yeah.
Mordo's name. You know if I
Mordo?
pronounce it? Yeah. His
Carl
real name.
Mordo.
Chiwetel Ejiofor is the
Ejiofor.
actor's name.
Oh, the actor. I don't know. I've never seen that actor
Chiwetel.
before, I don't think.
That guy
Ejiofor.
is great, and
I
I
feel like you have seen him. You just don't know.
Oh
you've
shit.
seen him.
He looks way different when he's not in that costume.
Yeah, you've seen him. You just
Oh.
didn't know his name.
and back in I'm just gonna do a little brag thing here. Back in 2012, he was in the movie 2012, and I got to interview him there.
You
And
did? You're
yeah.
friends with him? He's a friend of the show?
Yeah,
You guys are
we
best
held hands
buds?
and skipped around in Wyoming. I got to go to Wyoming for this press junket.
Wow.
With
uh,
Mordo?
Yeah, he was not Mordo yet. In fact, I asked him if he would send like that was like
If he would ever
the
play
MCU
Mordo?
was just
You
starting.
cast him as Mordo?
I actually asked him if he would play T'Challa, the Black Panther,
Oh.
Mm.
and he said he would be very interested in doing that. So, but that didn't turn out.
Oh my God. He and I have the same birthday. He's 1 year younger than me, exactly 1 year younger than me. Same date.
Nice.
Oh
There you
man,
go.
we're best friends.
Meant
You're
to
best
be
friends with him.
friends. You're
I
meant
got
to.
the
It's
same
meant to be.
birthday. We got to get
So,
him on this.
Next year for
podcast.
Halloween, you have to be Mordo.
Yep. And then
Okay.
Dormammu.
He was an Amistad. That's what
Yeah.
I know him from.
You know where he may seem familiar? I don't know if you watched it, but back in the day, one of our big Broadway shows that comes through
Kinky
was
Boots.
a movie, an obscure
Kinky
movie.
Boots, right?
Yep.
Yes, I bet
He's
that's
Lola.
because I think I watched that in order to understand what the play was when it was coming. Maybe.
Yeah, that's him. So you've
Oh my
seen
gosh.
him. You should know it was
Wow.
him.
He's just a talented fella.
He is a talented fella. He was also in Love Actually.
Yeah, he was very good in everything he does.
Didn't you see
And he
Love
was in
Actually,
Salt.
Andy, with our grandparents and the sex scene
Yeah,
was gross?
that
and-
was that was awkward.
Did you watch that with your grandparents? Why?
I watched it with my mother and my grandparents
Why?
because
Andy loves watching porn with our grandparents.
I thought it was just like a pleasant Christmas movie.
And now they're dead. Our grandparents are dead because of that. I hope you're happy.
No,
Oh,
it was
no.
much
You
later.
killed grandma.
My grandpa.
Yeah, he
grandpa
plays the. If
Grandma
you,
got
for our
run over
listeners,
by
if
a
you have not
reindeer.
watched Love Actually, you have at least seen this scene where the dude goes to the girl's door and he's holding up signs to profess his love.
That's him?
No,
Oh.
but the girl he's professing his love to is his friend's wife. His friend is this
Oh.
guy
Oh.
We
who
were
should
watching-
punch his friend
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
is in love with his wife.
We were watching Love Actually, and apparently my grandmother leaned over to my mother during like the weird, the sex stand-in scenes, where like they're pretending to, they're
Yeah.
people who fall in love while being stand-ins for sex scenes. And she just leans over to my mother and says, "Is this a porno?"
While you were watching it with her.
I love
Yeah.
that she had to question it and not like immediately got up or left the scene. Just wanted to know,
Right.
wait, what are we watching again?
Are we watching a porno together with your son, my grandson? Are we all
Yeah.
watching let's all go see a porno together. Grandma, grandpa.
I love it. Because
my
you know,
gosh.
if that was my grandmother, she wouldn't have said a word. She'd have got up and marched out. But your grandma was like, "Hey, just want to check in and see what we're doing here."
Well, yeah, I don't think she liked it, but I think my grandpa liked it. So that's
Yeah,
good.
he was a porn fan.
Yep.
God bless it.
And we'll just
So
leave it at
anyway,
that.
just to
Okay.
run down the other first appearances. The next appearance was Dormammu, the Dread Dormammu, Doctor Strange's arch nemesis.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is he related at all to Thanos or the guy who eats planets, Uranus?
Galactus.
King Uranus.
Galactus.
Oh, Galactus.
Did you
King
say
Uranus.
Uranus?
King
Wow.
Uranus, I thought his name was.
There is some Marvel character named Uranus now, Uranos. I think he's one of the Eternals or
No,
something.
it's
but,
pronounced Uranus.
Yeah, no. I
Uh,
doubt
no,
it.
Dormammu is kind of like a definitely a Doctor Strange creation. I mean, he lives in his own dimension. It's the dark dimension. He's trying to eat everything, and he looks kind of like. I mean, the classic image of Dormammu kind of looks like his head kind of looks like a Human Torch head. They very well approximated it, like the look of this weird mask face he always used to
Well, that
have.
dude is scary in this thing. Like that's a
Yeah.
big, scary, nightmare causing thing.
Yeah.
So he was 1964, like just like 16 issues after Doctor Strange appeared. Caecilius first appeared 4 issues later as like a disciple of Baron Mordo, and Baron Mordo in this just like pure evil, magic hungry kind of guy. He's like trying to master black magic and do all sorts of shit. So this movie kind of reimagines Mordo quite a bit to make him a bit more conflicting, I guess. And then Christine Palmer.
Yeah, because doesn't more
Oop, you went
Oh,
muted.
we lost you,
Joe
Joe.
just went muted like a dumb idiot.
You're muted.
Joe muted himself like a dumb idiot.
Huh.
There he is.
Where how that happened.
Now he's back.
Didn't Casillas or doesn't Mordo end up being kind of a bad guy at the end? Or spoiler alert? Or,
Yeah,
not?
it's
Everybody
the
seems
way-
to switch sides a lot.
Well, is he bad
the
or
thing.
is he
Here's the
so
thing.
rigid in his
Uh-oh.
defense of things?
Mordo in this, I feel like he's more of a what I want to say. He's like he almost comes off like internal affairs, so to speak, right? Am I gone?
Kind of.
No.
no,
I
we
was
just don't know
waiting.
what you're talking
Wait,
about.
wait.
It was weird because I seen Joe's face. Like on my end, I just saw Joe's face, and it was like Joe's looking up, and it's like there was
Well,
no movement.
I'm looking at a picture
Oh.
of what Casillas
Okay.
looks
But-
like in the
but, like,
comics.
So it's like everything like he comes off like, you know, he's mad at the Ancient One, and then spoiler at the end, you know, he's sitting there thinking that like there are too many sorcerer supremes or sorcerers kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he has this like internal affairs, police the police.
Okay.
So he has this thing where he's like trying to police, you know, the mystical art, so to speak.
kind of like in his mind, but he also sounds like he comes to the conclusion that he just needs to stop all use of magic.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what it feels like.
There's the sorcerers just need, everyone needs to stop using these powers. And unfortunately, there's absolutely no following up on any of this in the rest of the MCU. Even
No.
in Mordo does not appear again until an alternate version of him appears in Doctor Strange 2 that just came out this year.
My
So,
son was very upset that they did not follow through.
yeah, because
with
that
any
is
of
a
that.
very interesting direction for him, and
Mhm.
that actor is so good that I never thought I'd say I want to see more Baron Mordo, but
Right.
but I do. I want to see what that happens, and they just kind of sort of
Who's your best Baron, Mordo or Zemo?
in the MCU or in general.
It's a
Or
general.
Baron Von Ass. That was Andy's name on his radio show.
Yes,
Baron
I-
Von Ass.
Yeah, in college I was
Right.
Baron Von Ass.
Is that
and,
real?
And,
I
and
thought that was
He had a
The show
radio
was the
show in
gnome.
college. The Baron Von Ass and Gnome show.
yeah,
And Gruff was the gnome.
yeah. But yeah, I think that's a hard choice because they're two totally different realms. I mean, I tend to like stories involving Baron Zemo more, but and Baron Zemo's been developed a bit more, and he's got a whole Thunderbolts movie coming out, I think. But I want more Baron Mordo in this, but they just kind of. It's one of my complaints about Doctor Strange 2, but we're a ways off from discussing that. And then just the last one I want to mention before we get into your questions or whatever is Christine Palmer is played by Rachel McAdams.
Yes, Mean Girls.
Like the whole time, like I'm very hazy about Doctor Strange, and I thought this character was going to eventually become Clea, one of the sorcerers, love interests of Doctor Strange,
Regina George.
But this character was actually from Night Nurse.
Yep.
Night Nurse #1 in 1972, an attempt to, gear some comic book towards female readers.
Oh.
Yep.
And it's created by they had the good idea, like, all right, we're catering towards female readers, let's get some female writers. So Jean Thomas and Wynne Mortimer created her. It was a short-lived series about like 3 nurses who lived together, and there weren't really superheroes involved in this, but they lived together and dealt with drama
the
and
drama
intrigue and
of
death
being
and
in
crime
ER.
and stuff. Yeah,
It's like a comic version of ER or something.
kind of like that. It's Grey's Anatomy.
There you
We
go.
were talking about
The
that a little
love
bit.
and
It's
the
kind of
Full
like that.
circle.
Sex
And-
lives of doctors and nurses.
Yeah, and I think Claire Temple. No, I'm sorry, that's a different thing. Claire Temple, who was played by Rosario Dawson in the Netflix series, is kind of is a Luke Cage character, but based
On Night
sort of
Nurse.
put into the Night Nurse role for them,
Yes.
which is kind of interesting too. And actually, one of the first Night Nurse in comics her name was Linda Carter.
Look at that. All the women connecting.
Yep, not spelled the same as Wonder Woman, but
Connecting all the lady superhero verse. Although it's not superheroes. You're saying they're not heroes. You're
They
saying
are
nurses
heroes,
are
they're
not
just
heroes.
They are.
nurses are the real heroes.
Here's on record. Andy does not respect nurses. He doesn't
That's
think
not
what
what
they do
Andy
is heroic.
said.
It's not at always.
That's how I
But-
took it.
But
Nurses are the bosses of the
It's what I heard.
hospital.
It's what I feel.
eventually, Night
I
Nurse
feel
kind of
that you don't
morphed.
think nurses are heroic. My feelings are valid.
Your feelings are dumb all the time. But Night Nurse eventually kind of morphed as a character into specifically the kind of someone who provides medical attention to superheroes who are protecting their secret identities and need medical help, which guys
really?
like Daredevil always do, because the superheroes get their asses kicked.
Well, yeah,
So,
especially if somebody
and-
who's human or regular, not powerful. Or
Man.
whatever,
Yeah.
mutant.
So sometimes they
the-
get shot or something and they need a doctor to patch up their wounds while also respecting their secret identity and not trying to expose them.
So Rosario Dawson is Night Nurse, that same Night Nurse in the Daredevil
No,
show.
she's
No.
a different
No.
Night Nurse.
But she's like the concept. is what you're
Inspired
saying.
by.
Yeah, inspired by. Gotcha.
Her role is inspired by Night Nurse,
Right.
Yeah.
but her character is actually a doctor character from Luke Cage comics, from early Power Man comics.
Gosh. Now Luke Cage is Power Man. Is that right?
Luke Cage, Power Man, yeah.
They're the same thing.
Yeah.
Luke Cage is just his
His real name.
His
first
real life name.
guy name.
But he was referred to as Power Man because you needed a superhero name.
Man. And now Luke Cage is not in the MCU. Or
He
maybe.
might be.
Maybe. I think what it's going to be, he was in the Netflix series. He had the Netflix
Yeah.
show,
Right.
that which was supposed to be set in the MCU, but they never really made that connection until Daredevil just appeared
Right.
in the She-Hulk series. And there's going to be a new series called Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus that is rumored to reintroduce all those Netflix characters, but they might not necessarily be exactly as they were in the Netflix show.
Okay.
We'll see.
They might be the same characters or the same actors even, but
So is this about to cause a big hubbub in the nerd world? Are people
We'll
gonna be
see.
upset? Are they gonna be happy or are they gonna be angry, or you don't know? Some nerds are mad about everything.
we'll see how they do it. I mean, because I think the impression is Disney Plus is going to sanitize some of that stuff. But then again, those Netflix shows are now on Disney Plus. You can go watch
Yeah.
The Punisher. You can watch Daredevil. You can watch Jessica Jones.
Yeah, they're all
back in
on
the
there.
cage.
So, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're in the MCU.
Right. And Charlie Cox, the guy who plays Daredevil, has been a bit vague about it. At one point, he said, "No, it's more of a reboot than continuing the story." But
Well, I mean, She-Hulk proved that it's an actual kind of like a reboot, right?
Yeah, but
'Cause, I
it
mean, he's
also
not the
could
same.
be.
He's not the same Daredevil in She-Hulk that he was.
But
in
Wait
the
a minute,
show.
he's
But
in
there's
he's in She-Hulk.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there's.
Yeah, he said that.
I said that like 5 minutes ago.
I didn't
Yeah,
hear
not
you
even
say
5 minutes ago, like
I was
60 seconds.
I was
You
my
just don't-
brain was wandering off.
Yeah,
When
not
you
even
drone
5
on
minutes.
and on endlessly, sometimes that my mind wanders.
You're supposed to be learning from this, Joe. You're the one who can't pass a quiz.
Yeah, but when you got a boring ass professor,
Listen, if Andy gives you an F, I back him because you're being rude right now. You're being
Don't
a
you
very
Wart
rude
Skinner me.
student.
you Wart Skinner me and give me an A when I've earned an F. That's what you'll do, son.
That's
Oh,
not
great.
going to be your
TBJ
college
left.
history.
She's pissed. She's had enough. She stormed off the set. Now all we have to do is talk to TBJ's bread.
I forgot what I was saying now. Something about
Well,
Daredevil.
you were gonna mention
Oh,
TBJ's
there's
loaf of bread.
nothing about Daredevil's appearance in She-Hulk that I think contradicts anything from his series. I don't think.
You don't know.
Well, like he's more he's a lot looser than he was like from his show. Super serious. That was
Right.
that was like even in his appearances on Spider-Man was like even though he was just as Matt Murdock in a Spider-Man, he still had this.
You mean in the Spider-Man comics?
No, the movie. He was
Oh,
loose. He was loose.
Daredevil's
Right
in
now.
the Spider-Man movie too?
Oh, Matt
He's
Murdock
got
is
a cameo in the last Spider-Man.
but he's not Daredevil. He's Matt Murdock.
Right.
Yeah, which is Daredevil.
Right. But he's not in costume. He's
He's just his
a
lawyer.
lawyer.
self.
It's like how they keep saying on Titans, Batman showed up. But it's not Batman, it's Bruce Wayne, who happened to be Batman. You never see him put on the cape and cowl, so it's Bruce Wayne.
Right. But the thing, like Daredevil, there was a whole thing where for a long time since, Frank Miller got a hold of him, all Daredevil stories had to be really dark and tragic and like rain covered and bloody and gross. But then Mark Waid in like the early 2010s, I think, got a hold of Daredevil and said, all right, we're going to lighten it up a bit. We're going to go throw back to his earlier days when and they sort of hinted that like he needs to do this to keep from himself psychologically together after all the tragedy he's been through. But he like consciously switches gears and starts to try to be more upbeat. And I think that could easily be what's
He
going on.
sounds like he's making life decisions like Tiffany is. Good
Yeah.
job.
And then like Foggy Nelson is watching him going, are you sure you're okay? This hasn't been your attitude for the last years. Like, I gotta be okay or else I'm not okay for the rest of my life. So I'm
You
gonna
gotta
fake it
be
till I make
okay
it. Yeah.
before your demons drag you down.
But anyway, back to Doctor Strange. Before we
Okay,
get too
back to
far.
Doctor Strange. Are we in the movie now? The movie starts and
Yeah.
Catmandu.
We can start with the kick-ass beginning.
Yeah, cool, crazy stuff right at the beginning. They're in Catmandu. We found out a little bit later, but that's where we are in this ancient looking a temple or whatever. The sorcerer Caecilius, is that how you say it? Caecilius is the guy, the main villain basically is at the beginning, and with his disciples, they enter the secret compound, which later we found out is Camartage. And they behead the librarian. They cut this dude's head off right away. They steal the pages out of the book, a la Back to the Future, when he takes the phone book and rips out the address for Doc Brown. But he takes several pages out of the book. Of course, we find out later that belonged to the Ancient One, who was a long-lived sorcerer who has taught every student Camartage, including Caecilius and the mystic arts. The Ancient One pursues the traitors, but Caecilius and his followers escape. We don't know it's the Ancient One. We just see this bald woman that looks like Annie Lennox, like chasing him. And then
she's like, "Don't do it, don't do it," and then they do.
Yeah, and then it's right away. It's this, the guy gets beheaded, and then you see the orange mystical flaming lassos and stuff like that, and they chop his head off, and then they fight while manipulating the earth around them.
Space and time.
It's like space and time, and the buildings are all weird. It looks like they're in Edinburgh. It becomes a mirror thing.
No, it's like that movie Inception.
Yep.
man, I still don't know. I think I saw Inception, but yeah, they're just like she's moving everything with mirrors, and she's wearing a yellow jacket and hood. But the thing I noticed about this is there's like people just walking around, and none of them seem to notice this, that they're like
Because they're
jumping
on
on
a
the
different
walls
plane.
and they're fighting on the
They're
walls.
existing in a different.
So the cars
moment.
going by are on a different. So that's kind of the essence of the multiverse. So everything else is still happening, and they're not even noticing all these people because that's kind of in another
They're manipulating.
dimension.
Yeah, they're manipulating.
Time and space or whatever, and they're fighting with all the orange like laser things,
Orange laser thing.
orange laser discs. Like she's throwing the frisbees.
It's just that they're not actual frisbees. This is what's coming out of her hands.
They're like magic. They're like fans. Like who knows?
Not quite, but okay.
They look
Joe.
like they're made of like flames or something, and then they got
They're sparks.
then they all
yes.
escape into we see the first portal where they open up a portal and they run through and escape, and the walls are all moving and everything. And then
Mhm.
she just walks off like it's nothing.
I don't think she walks off like it's nothing. I think she, after that battle, has to regroup.
Yeah, she just shows off, throws the circle behind her, but then people are looking at her like, what the hell? Takes her
I
hood off,
mean-
and we see that she's bald.
She's a stunning bald woman walking down the street. You'd stare at her regardless.
You would. Just like Telly Savalas in Love Boat when he's making Robot Isaacs. And then it cuts immediately to Earth, Wind, and Fire's Shining Star. And we see Doctor Strange washing his hands. And now we see
prepping
this
for surgery.
smooth operator that's doing the surgery and all that. And we see that they have this exposition of him, operating and doing the trivia, the music trivia, where he knows what the song or what year it was and all that. I don't know if that's ever relevant, except that he's a know-it-all. I don't know.
A sharp mind.
Photographic memory. He,
Photographic memory,
remembers
right.
that memory.
He
Oh,
knew
yeah,
exactly
that
what
is
year
true.
everything came out and all that. And then you get the trauma patient that comes in, and he's the only one that can. They don't have time to use a machine, and he's got to do it by hand. Like, you can't do that. He's like, I can, and I will. And he kind of does it.
Well, it's not even that he's the only one that can do it. The other doctor, who should be on his level, has said the guy is dead.
Yeah, just give up on him, and he saves the guy's life. And then
Because she saw something. I just want to point out that in this scene, it is her. She is the one that discovered it.
Regina George, right? Oh yeah, and he's backing her up, right? She's the one
He's
who
backing her up because other
right
men in power aren't listening to
Aren't
the
listening
woman
to
in
her,
power.
right. Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, that never happens in the real world, though.
Sure, Joe.
But yeah, so that's a good thing. So does he help because it's the right thing to do, or does he help just to show off that he's the badass that can do it, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I think he's a
Both.
raging egomaniac.
Yes.
But there's a baseline, like a reason. At least he's told himself the reasons why he got into doing what he was doing.
But we also know he's been with this girl before, and he likes her. Christine, is it Christine?
Yeah, Christine Palmer,
Played by Regina George,
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel.
McAdams, Rebecca De Mornay.
No.
Not Rebecca De Mornay.
Rebecca De Mornay is not in this movie.
No.
I just like to say that if she's not in a movie, I just like to let people know.
You just like that.
Our listeners want to know that.
Warn everyone. Okay.
Yeah, and so they save this patient, and then we get into a little more exposition where we fill in that they're not clearly there's a past between these two, but they're not currently together. You can tell they both kind of like each other, but it didn't work in the past. And he's an egomaniac basically because he invites her to his function where he's going to speak.
Everything tells us before he even gets to the function, from how he's talking to his people in surgery, from how he talks to the other doctor, because she even says you didn't have to talk to him that way. Like, we can tell that he is an asshole.
He is an absolute asshole. Yes.
Is he as big of an asshole as Tony Stark?
To me, they're both very assholey.
Maybe bigger.
The first time
Which makes
I
when
saw
they
this, I was like,
Well, I
asshole
mentioned
vibes.
I mentioned, I think, to Joe on the polo about the first time they meet each other. You can see like two, it's like
Yeah.
two dicks fighting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, these guys are both huge ego cases and they can't deal with
Right.
each other.
Because there's
White
so much
dudes with
alike.
goatees, ego,
Yes.
like one is the science sorcerer and the other one is the magical scientist. And like they're basically the same guy in two different fields.
Disciplines of basically.
In a lot of ways, they're basically the same guys. You know, Tony Stark's, you know, twitchier and but they're both.
Tony has ADD or ADHD. There you go. He can't sit still. But they are very much, the first time I saw Doctor Strange, it is no surprise that I was like ill because he reminded me of Tony Stark.
Right. It's
which
Tony
also
Stark
makes
with
me
some
go
focus.
Ill. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's also a rich guy, kind of like, well, Tony Stark's rich too, but he's like
The
Batman.
same.
He's got
Well,
like a
Tony
bat
Stark
cave
is insane rich.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
just, you know, wealthy
Normal Dr. Rich.
very like talented high-end surgeon rich.
Yeah.
Because they cut to all his watches, you know, his watch collection in his mansion, and then he's in his fancy car and he's driving like a fucking asshole. That's when I was like, really like, fuck this guy. You see people driving like this all the time around mountains and putting everybody in danger and going super fast. And it's like, dude, come on.
Yeah. And you think you're so awesome that you can freaking look at freaking case files while you're driving like an insane maniac on a windy ass mountain road. But you have the audacity because you were a privileged dude
to drive like that and then get all pissed off at everybody else for not saving your ass. Oh, they didn't do it right.
No, he's fine that they say he's mad that they couldn't save his hand.
Well, yeah, well,
which
but that's
he
it.
mangled.
Like, hey, fucker, don't drive like an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, some of us have Priuses.
I also wish someone would have said that to him in this movie. I mean,
you wish somebody would have said, hey, asshole, some of us have Priuses?
No, that you did this shit to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a control freak.
Yeah, you're here because of you.
I didn't like him at this point. Like, even when he's all upset, come on, give me a second chance, and blah, blah. I was like, fuck that guy, get him out of here.
I don't know if I still like him, but
yeah, I don't either. And then once becomes a wizard, then he has to make all that dumb facial hair. Like,
you are anti his facial hair.
Fuck that guy. Knows. Fuck Doctor Strange. Fuck this guy. Fuck this movie. I'm out. I'm out of nerd school. Just kidding.
All right.
And that's the end of this episode, everybody.
Joe storms out the room.
We're never watching that. Now we're done with MCU. We're gonna get in the DCEU next. Just kidding.
Not quite yet.
Okay, so we kind of got to where he's driving all fast and but I did want to mention this. You know, we did watch, and I can't remember if we talked about watching What If, but there was the Doctor Strange What If that kind of had something to do with this.
Right.
I love that you brought this up, Joe, because the whole time before we even got to this part, I was thinking, I wanna like give Joe a moment to like kind of sort of absorb some extra nerds type shit and see if maybe he can remember some shit, but then also if he could be like, what the fuck are you talking about kind of shit.
But this is what I couldn't vaguely remember though, because I remember in the cartoon he's got, I guess, Christine with him, right? Or it's his ex-wife or something.
And it's an infinite time and space, an infinite point in time.
Yeah, he keeps trying over, no matter what happens.
I was like, I'm wondering if Joe's going to make that kind of connection. Is Joe that nerdy enough there?
But it's not this same car accident, right? It's a different car accident, or it's what if?
It's a different reality. Right. That What If is all about different realities. This is a reality where she went with him on that trip, and she's the one who died.
Oh, that's right. Because now I'm getting it. Because in this, he invites her to the thing, and she says, "No, I don't want to go. Right? It's all about you." But
look at you.
It's what if she goes with him, and then she dies every time, and he keeps trying it over and over again. Every time she dies, no matter what he does, like a groundhog.
He can't change that. Yeah.
So I do like that about this. I like the groundhogishness, like when he gets into Dormammu, I'm here to bargain. Dormammu, I'm here to bargain. I wish they would have done a couple more with the two guys from Groundhog Day that get hit by the train and everything. I wish those guys were in it. But anyway, so I did vaguely remember that, but I'm only putting it together kind of now.
But you
Arts
remembered, so that's bonus points
There
on
you
your
go.
class.
That's applied knowledge.
Applied knowledge, everybody. I'm becoming a
Now if you
nerd.
can, now if you
Sometimes
only do
Joe
this
pays
in the-
attention.
when we have the quizzes.
That's worth a D minus, just like Mr. Krabappel on Bart Simpson when he explained how he knew how George Washington felt when he surrendered Fort Necessity to the French.
That's right. And that was a nerdy Simpsons reference
Yes.
from a Simpsons nerd. Yeah. So
I'm not even that big a Simpsons nerd, but
yeah,
I
that's
remember
pretty good.
that. That was like classic early Simpsons when, yeah. Anyway,
So so he's in his fancy car, he's going around the, swerving around the mountain, and he talks
gets in
to
a wreck.
Billy and gets in that wreck, and then he wakes up, and there's Rachel McAdams, who apparently never leaves the hospital. She's just always
She works in the ER.
Works
So when
24/7.
does she get to leave?
Yeah.
Welcome to the life of a medical professional.
In the
Well,
ER.
My friend Tim Anderson is an X-ray technician, and he gets to leave, but he does work 12-hour shifts all the time.
I would also
fix
know
that
again,
stuff.
she is in the ER emergency room.
Well, he
Yeah.
works there too. I mean, but
He's
MRI.
someone
guy,
has to call
X-ray guy.
him, like
Yeah.
someone has to order his task. She has to be alert on whatever comes through the door, and if whatever comes through the door keeps her 24 hours,
Yeah, he only has to
she's
go.
there.
He has to be there at night too, but just gets called over when that stuff happens.
Mhm.
But he does every once in a while. He'll mention a GSW that happened. So that's how when they said GSW, I knew that was a gunshot wound, because that's what a GSW is. I know that from Tim Anderson, who also from time to time will have to help get things out of people's butts if they got stuck in their butts.
And you know that from personal experience.
Well, I don't think he gets it out, but he takes the pictures of what's in the butts.
And how do you know this, Joe?
Because he tells us. He said it's very, very common that people get things stuck in their butt all the time.
Yes.
He takes the pictures of what's in the butts.
Yeah, here's the butts. He said it's all the time. Mostly drugs are up people's butts. Occasionally there'll be a
think that's the
battery or a light
subtitle of this
bulb.
episode.
But
is
most
Well,
what's
people
in the
forget
butt.
that your rear
What's
end
in the
is a
butt?
suction. It is a suction device. If you're gonna put something up there, it has to have a base so it doesn't fly in there and you go to the ER.
Oh man!
If you're
can't
putting a
believe
mic in there, it
lessons
needs
from
to be on a
TBJ,
stand.
how to keep things from getting stuck in your butt.
That's a little PSA for our audience. Whatever you decide to put in your rear end, make sure it has a little bit of a base.
What about action figures?
You're gonna have to call Joe's friend. That's gonna get stuck up in there unless it has a big base.
This has
Art
really
lost
big
a
feet.
bet, so he's got to put a rock action figure up his butt.
On
That's only
stage.
on the OnlyFans account where it's
I know.
paying our bills.
Yeah.
No, but he
Yes.
actually wants me to do it during the middle of a show. He wants me to. He wants me to stop the show
Nope.
and announce that I'm
We're just
doing
gonna say nope.
So now Doctor Strange wakes up and he's got all this damage in his hands, and and Rachel McAdams says nobody could have done this any better, and he said I could have done better.
Because he's still an arrogant asshole.
He's still an arrogant asshole.
And he
He's
can't
mad.
accept the loss of control.
And now he's got
Nope.
this loss of control and this anger with the world, and she's helping him shave and everything, and he's just
nation and domination.
And he's single-mindedly obsessed with getting his life back and his ability back.
Mhm.
And like the thing he is famous and successful for is the thing he can no longer do.
Yeah.
And he
his whole
can't
life-
accept
his whole
that.
life. Yeah.
He treats her like absolute shit
Yep.
until he's got nothing left than to fly to Kamertage, thanks to this Pangborn dude who says, "This is what you got to do. This is how I started walking again."
Well, that's just
Pangborn
it.
doesn't appear to be a Marvel character. I looked for him, but I don't think-
Benjamin Bratt, Pangborn is in
Benjamin Bratt. Yeah, he
Is
is.
in
I found
Marvel.
him in the Marvel. He is a Marvel guy.
I mean, he's not in
the comics.
Comics. I don't
Yeah, he is.
In the comic
Pang-
book.
I think
Pangborn
so.
is in the comics.
Yeah, he is. I found him in the comics too.
Boom.
And he's
Andy, you
doesn't know
might have been
anything.
slipping for a second.
I looked him up and it seemed to say, "Oh no, he's not in the regular Marvel comics. He was created for this movie." I mean, maybe he's in there after
Jonathan
the movie
Pangborn
came out. He was in a movie, so they probably
I
put
could
him
be
in
wrong.
comics afterwards. But yeah, you look up what his first Marvel comics appearance is, and If you can let me know what it is.
He oh, maybe it's just Doctor Strange.
Right.
Maybe it's in the
It is.
MCU.
It is.
It's not the comics.
All right.
It was a wiki page. I apologize. We're wrong. Art and I wrong. We're no longer tag team champs.
Were you ever
We
the
dropped
champ?
the straps. We
But
dropped the straps.
but he is
Yeah.
Benjamin Bratt. You just won
it
the
was a
tag team
handicap
championship from us.
It was a handicap match, and we dropped the strap to Andy.
That's
Yep.
right.
Now we have to get it back.
Andy,
Andy-
and to
Andy
be
two
fair, now
belts.
the Killer Bees.
Andy two
Andy
belts.
two belts. Yeah.
Andy 2 belts instead of Andy 2 shits.
I love it.
But back to Doctor Strange really quick, because he does actually say right when he wakes up and he's looking at his hands, he says, "You ruined me," and he blames the doctor who couldn't do that. And it's like,
Again,
you
doesn't
ruined
take
you,
any
bro.
responsibility for
Yeah.
his own actions that landed him in that damn hospital. It's
Yeah.
the worst kind of human. I hate those kind of people.
Is he a trash human?
He is a trash human at this point.
Yeah. And it's like the biggest thing. Like a little bit later, the Ancient One like says, "You're still resisting the."
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.
and that's after he's mastered the mystic arts and she's about to die, but he still is in that
and she
place.
keeps saying that she's right.
Self-absorbed.
Yeah. So anyway,
She's more than right.
his PT guy.
And see the
Oh,
thing
go
about that, the book that I mentioned to you, Joe, the Doctor Strange Origins,
Oh yeah.
where Greg Pak's version of Doctor Strange, like there's this whole thing with him and Wong and the Ancient One, where it's like they're trying to get these relics, but it's like Doctor Strange goes to Carmitage to learn and everything, but it's like he has to get out of himself to actually become the man that he eventually becomes. So it's just like him having that constant struggle of like being selfless, right? Like
Yeah.
Stephen Strange in this, like he's not a selfless person, right? It's like it's always it's me
Yeah.
because I'm the greatest surgeon. Like I can do it, no one else can do it, kind of thing.
Right.
Where
Mhm.
in that book, it's him getting to a point where he comes to the grips of accepting that, and he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. Whereas
Gotcha.
here, it's almost like Stephen is trying to get to that point where it's like I feel like he's overconfident and he's cocky. So when you're overconfident and cocky, no matter how hard you try, sometimes it's hard to lose that edge, right? It's
Well,
like
yeah.
because you always sit there and saying like growing up, you're always told that excel at what you do, be the best at what you do. Then you have some people who they take that lesson and then they get to this point where it's like, I'm bigger than everyone around me. I don't need anyone because I'm the best, kind of thing.
So it's like
So-
taking a delicate balance. So like you can be the best, you can be
Yeah.
the top dog, but don't be an asshole.
Well, and I like they make him, it's hard for him to let go of being an asshole until
Mhm.
that cape is like, no, motherfucker, you're gonna be a
Right.
goddamn hero and you're gonna do all that. He's like, no, save all that, save all these. Like he just keeps saying, no, I'm done now. Like I did my save people, keep saving people. Like what? He doesn't want to do it. But even that, I like that. Even the physical therapist is trying to help him. He's being an asshole to that guy. He's like, this isn't fast enough. Fuck this. You suck. And the guy tells him about Jonathan Pangborn, and he's like, that there's no way that could have happened. This guy could have done what Jonathan Pangborn did, that major recovery. And the guy even says, you know what? I will. It's going to take me a long time to find his file and whatever, but just to prove your dumbass wrong,
Just shut
I'm
you
going to
up.
do it. I love it. Like it's just like, because you're such an asshole, I'm going to find this, and that's how we found Jonathan Pangborn.
Mhm.
And then we see Benjamin Bratt. Now, Benjamin Bratt, what show is he from? Is it St. Elsewhere?
Law and Order.
Law and Order, my OG obsession.
Yeah, he was one of Lenny Briscoe's partners.
Yep. I think Lenny Briscoe is the longest running freaking Law and Order. Well, not now because you got Benson and what's her name?
Is he related to Gerald Briscoe,
No,
the WWF
No.
wrestler?
no.
I'm not gonna remember what his character's name was. Detective Ray Curtis.
Well,
There you
Mariska Hargitay is one of the longest ones now. Her name-
Yeah.
Now she is. Yeah,
I
he
see.
was.
Yeah.
She's on
Briscoe
that.
was forever until
Until he-
SVU came
yeah.
on scene.
he got his own spin-off series and then immediately died.
Yeah.
Well,
So he would have been longer, but
Mm.
before we got SVU and Criminal Intent and all the other spinoffs of Law and Order, Briscoe was
Mariska Hargitay.
I can't hear Law and Order Criminal Intent without remembering some dumb meme image I saw where it was it was a Law and Order lunchbox and it just said lunch and order delicious intent.
I would have ordered that lunchbox had
Yeah,
I known
me
it
too.
existed. God,
It's just a picture of Vincent D'Onofrio and whoever the hell else it was on that show.
I can't remember her name because it was so much a D'Onofrio vehicle.
Mhm.
But God bless it.
Law and Order is in the MCU because of Vincent D'Onofrio.
You said
Yeah.
what's in the
Law and
Vincent
Order.
D'Onofrio
oh because D'Onofrio, yeah.
as the Kingpin.
Right.
So he's in Law and Order. Now Benjamin Bratt's in Law and Order too. So they're playing
Maybe
the
there's
same
a Law and
characters.
Order MCU pipeline we don't know about.
You know what?
It's
I
a-
bet
Joe
It's,
verse, do your
Marvel,
math.
Marvel 198654.
sorry,
whatever.
I'm at the part where he and Christine are breaking up.
They're not breaking up. They
They're
were
not
a
together
couple.
at that point.
Well, she shows up to his house with some groceries. So it
She's
sure
trying
seems
to
like she had
take
moved
care
in.
of a friend who is like injured, and he's like, "Are we friends?
Well,
We
and
were
he was
barely
like,
ever lovers. You're
yeah.
pitying me." I'm like,
yeah, and she's like, "This is where you apologize." Like he's like, "There's other things that," she said, "There's other things that can give you meaning." Like what? You? And then she like is broken, and she's about to cry. He's like yelling at her. And poor
'Cause-
Regina George.
but props
Goodbye,
to her
Steven,
for
she
knowing
says.
he ain't worth it. She didn't even try and change nobody's mind. She was like, "All right, peace out then."
But she walked out and she drops his keys. She has his keys.
Yes, because he's been convalescent.
Boom. She drops them. Is like, I'm done, bitch.
Take
I
care
don't know
of
what
your
happens
self.
later, but
And so
Ball, Felicia.
you
bye,
have to think
Felicia.
if his hands don't work, who's been wiping his ass?
Right,
She's been wiping his ass,
caregiving.
or maybe he's got a bidet.
He might have a bidet.
Doctor Strange might
Yeah,
have a bidet.
he's probably a
everybody.
high end there,
We've
but he's running
deduced
out of
That's
money.
that Doctor Strange has a bidet.
She does point out that his money is low, funds are low.
And he spends his last dime going to Comertage.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's it. He's almost broke. He's got no money. He can't do this anymore. She's like, give it up, do something else. You're a smart guy. You can do other things. I mean, he could have done one trivia contest at bars because he knows all about
Is
music.
One
Would that have
Jeopardy,
been a
right?
good use
That's
of his
Jeopardy.
time?
Oh, and somebody sends him. Wait, who sends him that? He gets in the mail. Oh, it's from that physical therapist.
It's from
He
his
gets-
physical therapist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he gets the Pangborn file. He goes to Pangborn and finds out.
and he goes to see Benjamin
Comertage.
Benjamin Button playing basketball. It says, "Told you so."
Not but Brad Pitt is not in this movie.
Benjamin Butt.
That's Joe's word association to remember his name.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
you guys, a little trivia time. What date is Jonathan Pangborn's medical file from his X-ray?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
December 9th, 2014. You dumbasses.
Joe, you say it like you knew it before you looked it up.
Now he's like fast forwarding through the movie.
Yeah, I'm
instead of
watching the movie as
taking
we're
his own
going live.
notes.
So then Benjamin Bratt's playing basketball. He's slam dunking. He's better than Michael Jordan. And then he can't believe that. Oh my God, this guy who has a broken back or whatever. And that's where he
Yeah,
tells him to go to Kathmandu, right? Is that right?
Yep.
But I love how he says before he tells him to go is that it comes with a cost. And he's like,
Yeah.
"How much?" And he's like, "It's not money."
Yeah.
Which warning.
So is that kind of a warning that we might get a prequel with Benjamin Bratt's story?
No.
Probably not, because all he does is learn enough magic to make himself walk again.
Yep, that's it. In one mission.
Yeah, you don't know. He might have done a bunch of missions in the multiverse somewhere and then come back.
No, he very clearly says, "I just learned to walk and then I got out of there."
Yeah, he's like, doing more was not for me, so I decided to take what magic I knew and use it in the rest of my life and come back to my old life.
Yo, Pangborn, are you in or out, or are you out? I have
Is
a
that what you're
feeling-
imagining they said at the temple?
Well, they did that when he's playing basketball. He's like, "Hey, leave me alone, guys. I gotta talk to this weird guy." And they're like, "Come on, man. You ain't bad. You ain't nothing. You ain't nothing." Doom, 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 doom. And then Michael Jackson comes out.
Yeah.
And
How do we bring it back to Michael Jackson?
what did you learn in that sissy school of yours? All right, so we're about to
Ding
get to where he
dong,
goes,
man. Ding dong. Yo.
Ding
Sorry.
dong, man. Ding dong. Yo.
That's the Weird Al version.
The Weird Al.
Anyway.
Anyway, so we're pretty much at the part where he's about to go to Kathmandu.
That's all the time we have on this episode of Nerd School. Join us next time as we pick up from Kathmandu. Later, nerds.
They say I can't rap about the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end in racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems, Mr. Officer. Now they POTUS look like me, you gon' think again when seeing brothers rolling down the street. Every Martin Luther King on his American dream. Still a Rodney being beaten, screaming fuck the police. Me, I'm running through the pasture, trying to get away from master, but the dogs is on my ass, I gotta move a little faster. Can't pass for Caucasian, but I got a couple papers from the plantation saying I graduated. Congratulations, cool beans, but to most school mean trying to dodge STDs, living off government cheese. Trust the government, please. Not even if it was me sitting in the Oval Office as commander-in-chief, trying to give us free, but there's a nigga in my ear saying, "You got it, Superman. You ought to keep it here." Get this distinctly clear, I'm all about jetting. Raps Kunta Kinte without the half-stepping. A new chapter, back with new lessons. After that, the final exam. Any questions?